This is a public service announcement, and this will be brief. Whenever you buy an old car, remember, check it out thoroughly. I checked this one out pretty well, but even I will miss a few things. This here's a 70 Dodge Dart Swinger. Has 340 scoops on it. It's not a 340 car though. Has a pretty basic 318 in it. As you can see, it has the 340 exhaust on it though, and a 340 manifold, or 340 style manifold anyway. My public service announcement is about lowering your car. I wanted this car as a daily driver. Didn't think much of the lowering. It didn't really look that low to me, but low enough to cause a problem. As you can see, for you eagle-eyed Mopar guys, that is not a 340 exhaust. That's just a typical 318 exhaust. I've got that on there for now simply because this one, due to its lowering situation. First of all, when you lower one of these, they handle like crap. I'm just gonna say it for you guys that don't understand, that think lowering is cool. Lowering is cool if it's a weekend toy, or just some car that you want to enjoy on the weekends. Great. But if it's a daily driver, don't lower your car. Like I said, I bought this car to tool around on a daily basis, like 7 days a week without worry. This is a pretty good running engine. It does have some leakage. I will find out where that's from. Probably from this here valve cover gasket. That's just a guess at this point, but I'll get to that later on. One thing, when you're checking out a car like this to buy, make sure that the steering box has at least some adjustment left in it. This one is complete crap. This car almost killed us on our maiden voyage because the steering is just so sloppy in this car. Another thing, when you lower a car like this and you go to, say, a Golden Gate gas station or a place like that, they tend to have manhole covers that are up higher than normal speed bumps are. So if you go over one of those, like I did, you'll catch the bottom of your exhaust down there, like I did, and you'll end up with a situation like this. On over here to the trunk area. This is a 340 manifold. Was in really nice shape when I got it, but as you can see, it broke like off. And then it melted a couple of wires to my starter, and it didn't want to shut off until I took the battery off. Basically what happens with these cars, when you lower them and you don't lower it correctly, in the case of this car, they just turn the torsion bars all the way down. That doesn't help. That just makes the steering way sloppier than normal. So when this breaks, you got to find a welder that knows what they're doing. This guy, I'm not a welder, so I can't tell if this is great or not. But I will say that it is definitely durable. He definitely used the right material to weld this together, and dropped it on the ground a couple of times just for fun, see if it would break. It didn't. He hit it with a hammer a couple of times. It's fine. So this will go on, no problem. But these manifolds, they have reproductions of them out of a place in Oregon, I believe. I'll see if I can find that, and if I do, I'll put their link in the description on a later video. These are like $600 for a pair of these for aftermarket ones. And that's if they're still making them. I seen an ad and was like considering buying a pair of those to replace these. But I found a welder friend of mine who's really good, and this seems to be doing the ticket for me. Again, it's a daily driver. It's already busted. Who gives a shit if it's factory or, is my resale value going to go down because of this? Who gives a shit? I'm not selling it. The reality is there's people on eBay that will just ram a dick up your ass buying a set of these. These are apparently really hard to find. I know hot rodders back in the day threw them away and put headers on all their shit. The reality is these flow, in my opinion, just as good as a set of hooker headers. So, and if you're going to spend thousands of dollars on headers and you're, not giving a shit and it's an investment, great. But if it's a daily driver, you don't really need headers for the street, man. But case in point, even the 318 manifolds, that one that I have underneath the hood, that was like $150 or $130 just for that thing with shipping. So it's still not cheap to replace any manifold on these cars because they are old. They don't make this stuff anymore, and places that do, they charge a lot for reproductions. Another thing you want to watch out for when you buy a car, you want to check the frame, and that was the first thing I did. I checked the frame rails on this car, and they are excellent, but I'd never bothered to pop the hood on, or the trunk lid on this car, and I wish I had, because this is going to have to be straightened or possibly cut out and replaced. It's pretty obvious. One of the first things I looked at after seeing this damage is, oh yeah, you got two lights that look the same, but one's more faded than another. Leads me to believe that one of these got busted and this bumper was replaced off of something else. Now this is a 70 bumper, so that's good. But the problem is you get damage like this, and it's easy to hide behind a big old skirt that comes down like that and mates up with the bumper. So unless you look first, you won't see something like this if the trunk's down. You just won't. So check out everything. I was happy to discover I don't have any rust in the trunk though, so I was pretty happy about that. But buyer beware, This ain't so bad for a 48-year-old car. It's really not. But the amount of work it takes to fix stuff like that, if you're a purist, it's kind of expensive. But make sure that anytime you buy a classic car, unless you like rebuilding stuff, don't buy a car that doesn't run unless you're getting an extremely good deal on it. Another thing, don't buy a car that's lowered. And if it is and you're into that, make sure that they've done it right. Don't just loosen up the torsion bars and expect to be able to drive in a normal manner on the road. This car almost wiped us out on the first drive just because it was so sloppy. And I'd gotten myself in a situation where I had to drive this car regularly because I have a job. When you buy cars like this and you're going to daily drive them, don't lower them. It will be nothing but a headache for you, and they will be expensive. Every time you run something over, something will break, and you'll be sorry. At any rate, watch out for us for upcoming videos. We got a lot of cool stuff planned, including with this car. Stay tuned and like and subscribe, and hopefully you like what we do. Y'all have a good one now.